I'd like to say good afternoon to all the brothers and sisters in social media land. I'm just sitting here having a conversation with myself, and I always say that some conversations, whether it be a conversation that you're having with yourself, whether it be a conversation that you're having with somebody, sometimes the conversation is too important for other people not to hear. And I just been having a conversation with myself, just thinking back over the years. And even though this particular thing, it just keep coming back. So, that's what I want to talk about today is drugs. Drugs. I don't know. People really don't want to, I don't know, I'm not going to say people, but I'm just going to say generally speaking about yourself, people don't really like to talk about things that they directly affected by, period, one way or the other. And I'm thinking about drugs, whether you're a drug user or whether you're a drug seller. And it's and I know when I speak about drugs, I can name off 1 million people that use drugs right along with me. You know what I mean? I can name off 1 million people that sell them. But the thing that I was thinking about is that one of them is far worse than the other. I've been on both sides of the fence. I done sold and used. But I discovered that one of them left me worse off. And it wasn't the part that I was using, because using drugs. Now, first off, let's define what drugs is, because, when I'm saying drugs, I'm not talking about weed. I'm not talking about weed. I'm not talking about what they call marijuana. Now, cannabis, that's a drug. You see? But the marijuana and the weed, I'm not classifying that as drugs. I'm talking about crack. I'm talking about heroin, opioids, pharmaceuticals. Those are drugs. So I wanted to get that out the way. Now, I'm not talking about the person that sell weed or the person that smoke weed, because weed ain't never done no harm to nobody. It'll have helped people. It'll help people that have depression come out of it. It'll help people that had eating disorders to come out of it. It helps people with anxiety, come out of it. So that thing that grows out the ground, that have a multiplicity of benefits. I ain't classifying that as no drug, but I'm talking about the other drugs. And so one of the things that I find that being on drugs, it wasn't worse. It wasn't as worse as getting people hooked on drugs or trying to keep them hooked on drugs. They say that's far worse, because that's something that's sinister. Okay, you can get hooked on drugs. I use myself, for example. What's coming up? We learn how to smoke a little weed, and then later on somebody come and introduce you to something else, a black beauty, or and then you get exposed to volumes, and you see all the different effects from drugs. You see? Now the black beauties was like, they was pills, they was like speed you up, but never really done nothing majorly harmful to you. And then you had the volumes, and the volumes they was lower. I never liked volumes, because volumes seemed like they just made you want to go to sleep. Then you had the brothers and sisters that use syrup, and I never understood that neither, because that made you want to go to sleep too. So, it made many people go to sleep. I remember hearing stories. So, and so then you have You were introduced to different stuff. Like, okay, then you had somebody come along with tack. And you snort a little bit of that. Then you get a completely on top of the world high. And then you gravitate toward snort a coke, you know. I never did like to snort because I didn't like the way that stuff drained all down in your nostrils, you know. So plus I never really got high like that. And then you had in the 80s you had crack come out. And then you had crack and then you had what I first found out. I tried to hit the pipe when I was in Minneapolis, Minnesota, kicking it with the big boys. Well, so we thought they was the big boys anyway. But I was wasting more of the drug than anything, so that didn't work out for me. They took that, nah, you ain't getting this, you know. So I thank the Most High that I escaped that, because that had been the most detrimental use of any drug I've ever seen. Nah, I ain't gonna say that, but it's been ranked right up there. So, and then we got exposed to what they call the Mackin ball. And the Mackin ball, that did it for me. That's like where I left off at. But when we start dealing with the Mackin ball, now what the Mackin ball was, the Mackin ball was crack cocaine sprinkled in weed. And that's what they called it in Minnesota when I was up there. Now that right there, I felt, oh, I could deal with this. I can roll with this right here. I can roll with this. So when I came back to Kansas City, mind you, I wasn't but about 17, 18, you know. I came back to Kansas City, and the crack era was coming up, but I had got a little bit of knowledge up there, so we start selling, and here in Kansas City, it wasn't called the Mackin ball. They called it the Primo, you see? And it wasn't like, you know, that you was no drug head, no, you know what I mean? Somebody just strung out. It was the drug of that generation. It was the happening thing. In every generation, you got drugs that come in, and they seemingly be the happy thing, the happening thing. It's like the fad, the drug choice of that particular generation. And so in this one, it became like the Primo. Because, you know, you can wonder, what is them dudes getting, man, hitting that pipe that's making their life just go in a tailspin, and they just crash and burn. So we smoking the Primos, you know what I mean? And we partying. Hey, it's a good high. Everybody hype, this, that, the other. But you selling dope, and you just look at it like you're making money. And now I can have some of the things that I ain't never had before, you know? And you looking at it like, you know, this is the life. This is the kick it life. You know what I mean? And, you know, you kicking it. You're making money. But what don't nobody tell you is that not only will you end up with a habit that you might not never get rid of, you might die with it. Though many people have beat and overcome drug abuse or drug use, there are many people that have never overcame it. And many people that have been and will be destroyed by it. And I was saying to myself, you know, but some things nobody want to talk about. You know what I mean? Except you looking at it from the standpoint, from a judgmental standpoint, like many of our brothers that's religious do. Everything got to be judgmental with them. You know what I mean? I always like to look at it like it was one day you was just walking along, minding your business, and then your foot got caught in a clamp. Clap. And you was trying to get that mug off. You was trying to shake it off. It's like a bear trap. And you couldn't get it off, no matter how much you tried. And it literally crippled you. It literally became something that crippled you. It wasn't like you just went over there and stuck your foot in it. Because nobody grows up as a little child with a desire, I'm going to be a drug head. I'm going to be a lush. I'm going to be a dope head. I'm going to be a fiend. I don't think no child, no person is ever born through the womb that comes through this life as a child has a dream to be a dope fiend. You see? And if that be the case, when people become dope fiends, or people become strung out to the point to where their life is destroyed, it is because somebody have allowed wicked forces to get a hold of them and cause them to cause their brothers to stumble. And even in the midst of your brothers stumbling and trying to get up out of it, you'll strategically find ways so that you can keep him in the place that he is, simply so that you can make money. But you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to pay for it. And that's why I say, you know, for brothers to think that you're just going to sell dope to your people all your life and you're going to live a good life. You cannot live a good life at the expense or at the cost of your brother's life. You ain't going to live no good life. And this game done deceived many people. There's many people that's locked up in jail. There's many people that's dead. There's many people that have become victims of their own circumstance. That's what I like to believe happened to me. I became a victim of my own circumstance because I was once the one that was putting the dope in the hands of people. I was once the one that was finding ways to keep people on dope, even though I knew that they was losing their family, even though I'd seen them lose their job, pawn you their cars, all that. And then you know that it's not good for them. But you strategically, right there, every time they get a dime, you strategically try to find ways to keep them in the position that they in. And that is pure wickedness. And that's where the Most High convicted me at. And I remember the greatest time that I had conviction in the drug game. It was not only was it the most saddest thing I seen, it was the most scariest thing. That I had went to this chick's house and she looked like a skeleton, and all of the lights was off. No lights, no water, no nothing. And the children was just walking around the house, you know, in diapers. Man, for the first time in my life, I heard a voice say, you know what? You're responsible for this. This is what you causing to happen just so you can have some money in your pocket. So you were the one responsible for this. And you know what? When you look at the condition, and I think about my own children, how they became beneficiaries, and they had everything that they needed. They had everything that they needed. And you know what? When I seen that, it was like, man, you know what? I can't do this. I can't do this. I didn't have a stomach for it. I seen something that had been directly caused by my hand. Now, you have many brothers out there that say, well, if they don't get it from me, they're going to get it from somebody. I wouldn't care. Let them get it from somebody else, buddy, because you know what? Everybody that get hit with this conviction, everybody that get hit with this conviction ain't going to repent. But those that do get hit with the conviction, some going to repent, but some going to die tomorrow because they won't repent. You see? And saying I don't knock nobody because, like I said, if I had it any other way, I would chose if I had a choice. It would be 3 ways out: jail, death, or you become a victim of your own circumstances. If I had a choice, I would have chose to become a victim of my own circumstances, to experience the same hardship that I had caused all them other people to experience, to experience loss of the same things that them other people lost, to experience being talked about and all that the same way, to experience being called a crackhead and all of that the same way that those people that I caused to do it. I chose that, a victim of your own circumstance. Because you know what? Back to being on crack all them years like that, I'm still living. I done witnessed the Most High give me back everything that I ever lost. I done seen it with my own eyes. You see? And I done been able to encourage people no matter where they at. As long as you living, you can make it. Keep on living, keep on living, keep on living. Yep. And I had smoked and used more drugs than I ever sold. That's one of the reasons why I be so grateful. And I don't mind. I'm gonna talk about these things right here because this is real stuff that people dealing with every single day. You see? Do you know how much it costs somebody's life for a brother to ride around on 30-inch rims in a new vehicle? Do you know how much it costs somebody's life? You see, because apparently they don't realize what it costs because they're blinded by money. But I don't say this in a judgmental way. I say this from a standpoint of experience. I was blinded by money too. But you don't understand what's coming your way. Because when you causing your brother to stumble and you destroying the lives of people, God gonna hold you accountable for it. And it makes no difference that I may come and say, hey man, give me a $60. Give me $60. You know what I mean? It don't make no difference that I may be the one to walk and find you and tell you to give it to me. I am only going to bring harm to myself as an individual. But when I come and find you and then you put it in my hand, it's what you put in my hand that causes my life to be destroyed, and therefore you are going to be held accountable. You see? And we have all types of ways that we try to trick our mind into justifying what it is that we do. And I tell my nephews, and I tell my friends, and I tell them, hey man, you can't do this forever. You need to find you something to do, because you know what? When you do find you something to do, it's going to be you finding you something to do that causes you to be spared. If you don't find you nothing to do, then guess what? You're going to be destroyed. Point blank and period. Because chances are, you're going to experience the same thing. That's with everybody. And don't nobody want to talk about drugs. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to be science fiction, like life is so wonderful. You know what I mean? Like if you was on drugs, God didn't love you or something. Don't you know God know where everybody's at in their life? God know where everybody's at in their life. Preacher, don't you ever try to preach a sermon to try to deal with people that's on drugs. Don't you ever try to preach a sermon to try and deal with people that's wayward. Don't you ever try to preach a sermon again about the person that's on alcohol, because God loves those people. If you want to preach a sermon about yourself operating by sins of the spirit that can hide, like pride and self-righteousness, bitterness, envy, and jealousy. Those are the things that corrupt a man's heart. Not these external physical things. Our brothers and sisters need to know it don't make no difference where you at. God know where you at. And if you find yourself in this condition, you don't be too afraid or too ashamed to confess your sin, to confess your fault, to face up, to look yourself in the face and say, I am here. That is, I don't know what people expect. I don't know what people expect. I really don't. I don't have no idea what people expect. But I know one thing. Man, I'm going to live my life. I'm going to live my life to the fullest. And this is just some things that I've just thought about, Everybody is so judgmental on everything, but nobody want to look theyself in the face. Nobody want to look right there in the mirror I guarantee you, if you look in the mirror, you find something wrong with the individual that's looking back. Am I advocating being on dope? Nope. I'm telling brothers and sisters that it's consequences. You see? As far as I'm concerned, shoot, I was on drugs for a long time. Love the Lord every step of the way. Couldn't nobody tell me nothing different. You see? But I just say, man, it's one thing to hurt yourself. It's something else to hurt other people. Man. And I just was sitting here thinking about that, how you got brothers out here. I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about because I'm still connected to the street. You got brothers out here that want to be pillars in the community. How you going to be a pillar in the community and you got the mindset to sell somebody some heroin? Don't you understand that heroin causes the body to be sick? You want to get people on heroin so that you can always have money, but it's going to come at the expense of your brother's life? And you want to be a pillar in the community? Are you kidding me? No, you're a savage in the community. And the Most High really should just go on and remove you from off the earth. Listen, you know what? This is what it is. It's what it is. Every message ain't popular. I'm speaking out loud. This is what I feel like. You know? I don't have no respect for nobody that's riding around, high signing, kicking it, got this, got that, and you selling dope. That ain't nothing. Any fool can do that. Any fool can do it. But it take a real man to find something to do in his life and start doing it. Take a real man to start from scratch and then build something. Take a real man to start exercising his understanding and his psyche and his imagination and then put that with his life and say, what am I going to do with this life? Where am I going to move this life? How is this life going to start impacting the people around me? What am I going to do in this life to take care of my family, my wife, my children? What am I going to do in this life? Any fool can sell dope because that's what you are. You're a fool. But it take a real man to get creative with his life when ain't nobody gave him an opportunity. Take a real man to do that. A real man to figure out how he gonna make a living, how he can navigate through this world. It take a real man to do that. Don't take a man that systematically wakes up every morning with a plot on his mind as to how he's going to cause his brother to stumble. You see? And I'm not knocking my brothers that deal drugs. And I'm not jealous of them. I'm simply saying, I've been on both sides. I know what the outcome is. You might not be able to handle being hooked on the dope that you selling. You see? You might not be able to handle that. That's why we dealing with it. You might not be able to handle being hooked on the dope that you selling. You might go far worse than the people that you have seen, the people that you have sold to. You might not be able to handle it. Some of us have been hooked on the same dope that we sold in the alligator's mouth and still climbed out. But I guarantee you, not one of them climbed out on their own accord. All of them climbed out as they got in a pit and then looked toward heaven and asked the Most High to have mercy on them. You might not be able to do that. There are many brothers that have gotten hooked on the dope that they sold, never to rise again, never to be heard of again, never to be seen doing anything wonderful again. And here's another thing, is that there are no wonderful acts and deeds of kindness. Because you can't kiss one brother on the cheek and then slay another brother. No, it's what it is, man. It's real life. I told y'all, when I get into the kingdom, it ain't gonna be nothing left. I can give people the opportunity to talk about me, but I'll talk about myself. You ain't never gonna get to tell nobody anything that I done done, ever. I'll tell it. You know why I tell it? Because it make me feel so bad. I got to get it out some kind of way. So I'll spill the beans. I never could hold the beans, even when I was a kid. My sisters and everybody, they already knew Meech's gonna spill the beans. He ain't gonna be able to hold it. He ain't gonna be able to hold it. And there it is. All the beans come out. I'm telling you, man. I remember talking to one of my brothers. I was kind of on the ground. I wasn't on the ground from drugs. I was on the ground. Well, it was from drugs because drugs had made me lose everything. You know what I mean? It made me lose everything, and then I had to go and start getting regular job. But there ain't nothing regular about no job when you got to work for somebody. Ain't nothing regular. Ain't nothing normal about that. But that's where drugs put me. I had to go and get a job from somebody, you know, and that was horrific. But man, so I was kind of on the ground. I was on the ground because that's where it got me to. And you know, I was pretty much coming up off of it, but I was just on the ground in the sense that I didn't have my business no more, wasn't making no money. You know, the little I was getting, child support was wiping half of. So I was kind of on the ground. I went to one of my partners. I was like, well, man, I need a little help, man. You know what I'm saying? Thank the Most High. I didn't get no help. It was what he told me, changed my whole mind. It sent me back. It made me grateful to go back to that situation where I was a little job, no money, child support. What happened? It sent me back. I changed my mind. I said, man, I need a little help, man. What you need, boy? You know, I got you. Whatever you need, just say the word. I said, man, you know, I was, you know, probably try to give me a sack or something. See, I was going back. My desperate situation was trying to call me back. And that's what it's going to do to some of you brothers that have a made-up mind that you're going to do what's right. Your desperate situation will call you back. So it started making me desperate. And I was like, you know, let me give me a sack. And, you know, so, but he said, Meech, I don't know if you want to deal with this, what I'm dealing with. See, because, you know, some people know that she was a different kind of person, you know. He said, I don't know if you know what you want to deal with this, what I'm dealing with. He said, I'm dealing with this boy, you know what I mean? I'm dealing with this heavy stuff. He said, you know, and, you know, he said, and this right here, he said, this caused people to be sick, and they have to depend on me. He said, I ain't got no lot of people, but I got enough people to where I can make nice money. He said, but the problem is that you're gonna be making people sick, and they gonna have to come to you, you know. And when I was listening to that, I was like, how could anybody do that? Because I couldn't. But it's some people in this world that, you know, this world is all they got. So I'm not passing judgment on them, but I'm just saying, you got to find something to believe in. Because when this world is all you got, this is what you do. I said, man, you mean to tell me that if I give this to somebody, from the time that they do it, their body ain't never going to be able to be without it again. And they're going to be so sick to where they have to come. I said, man, I don't know how anybody can do it. But look at all of our young brothers right now. Our young brothers. All of our young brothers out there. They say that they rappers. They say that they this, they that. You know what? But listen, man, I'm telling you, man. You know what? Our brothers and sisters that's older, you need to tell them stories sometime. All of you ain't where you were. Some of you know that you was drunks, but you won't tell nobody. You won't tell nobody that you was a drunk and how you came to the brink of destruction, and then God changed your life. You'll say God is good, but they don't need to hear that. They know God is good because they live it. What they need to know is that it's a way out of where I'm at. brothers and sisters that have made it out of things. You don't even want to identify with the fact. I'm telling you, I can point some people that's doing great right now, knowing when they was in the gutter, would have committed some of the most heinous sexual acts ever known in history to satisfy a lust for drugs. And they come out with a nice life, and they won't tell nobody where they at. I know what I'm talking about. When you in that depraved state of mind, you can watch your sisters have sex with animals and think it's something to be proud about. You're not going to tell me that it's not happening, that it's not happening, that it's not real, because it is. These brothers out here killing each other every day. What you think they fighting over? A pair of 20-inch rims? Somebody wants to be bigger than somebody else in the hood and reach ghetto stardom? But God gonna hold you accountable. Because if you're trying to have a productive life at the expense of your brothers and sisters, demise, then I don't know what to say. I know the Most High didn't let me experience all these things in my life for nothing. For nothing. Now, I can wake up grateful every morning. You know? I can wake up grateful every morning to see the sun. And I tell people all the time, you ain't gonna tell me nothing about the goodness of the Most High. You ain't gonna tell me nothing about it. I know where I was at. Leave church, go straight to the dope house. I know exactly where I was at. I know exactly where I'm at today. You might not know where I'm at, but I know where I'm at. And it ain't no secret. Ain't never been no secret. And I ain't never had to be ashamed about where I was at. There are some things that you are ashamed of. But you don't ever be ashamed of things that make you confess your sins. You'll never be ashamed of your brothers for where they at. Nope, you don't have to be ashamed about being weak, about being broken. But there are some things that you should be ashamed about. You should be ashamed when you know what God done for you, and you walk around like you've done it yourself. You should be ashamed of that. You should be ashamed to look and speak ill of your brother when you know just yesterday you were in the same spot. You should be ashamed of that. You should be ashamed to walk around in pride and in arrogance, knowing that you got it, as you rob your brothers and sisters for what they have. You should be ashamed of not being out here going to work. You should be ashamed. There are some things that you should be ashamed of on both sides of the fence. But it's what it is. We are hypocritical, double-minded people. You see? So, you know, I say to myself, you know, but it's what it is, though. Try to get these messages in the hands of our brothers on real life. This ain't about no religion. You see, because it ain't nothing righteous about religion. Ain't nothing righteous about religion. You can't attach righteousness to religion. You can't attach righteousness, God's righteousness, to no religious construct, no religious order. You can only attach God's righteousness to the life that He created. This ain't about no religion. It's about life, and either you're going to live it, and we're going to live it, and we're going to exemplify the Father's righteousness. No, we ain't perfect. No, we still simple. No, we still have hang-ups. Yeah, I don't care how much words you got in you. I don't care. I got a lot of word in me, but that don't make me exempt from ghosts of my past coming back up. That don't make me exempt from temptation. It don't make me exempt from failure. It don't make me exempt. It don't make nobody exempt. You see, ain't no perfect people on the planet. So, I think it do us good. I think if for 1 month, now I ain't gonna say 1 month. I think if for 1 week, if I could challenge brothers and sisters for 1 week, that they wouldn't open up their mouths unless they were talking about something that was shameful in them. If I could challenge somebody for 1 week that the only time you open up your mouth on Facebook in a conversation is when you want to confess your sin to your brother, I guarantee you that everybody got to get off of Facebook. You know why? Because everybody want to talk about how great they are, how strong they are, how upright they are. But I know this, that you are a liar. Because God's strength is made perfect in our weakness. That means that when I can open up and express to my brother that I'm weak in this area, that's where the strength of the Most High is made manifest. If I had to challenge somebody that instead of arguing about what you did and what you know and what scripture you can break down, how about you find a way to confess your fault one to another? How about you talk about that part of you, that idiosyncrasy that ain't never gonna go away, that idiosyncrasy that causes everybody that runs into you to see the exact same thing? How about you talk about that? Talk about something that really has the opportunity to impact somebody's life. How about that? You see? Because we have brothers and sisters that are right there where I'm talking about, but they are not someplace that many of us have not been. And for many of us, time to time, may still find yourself. You see, and you know what? We have a habit of trying to make gods out of people. You ain't gonna make no God out of me. I'm gonna be the same ragged, sinful man just like you. Like our beloved brother said. He said he was a man of like passions. You know what that means? He said, you know what's up with you, don't you? Then that's what's up with me. He said, you know what's up with you? You want to have you a couple? Me too. He said, you know what's up with you? You lust? Me too. You know what's up with you? Every now and then you might veer off and left it. Me too. I'm a man of like passions. You ain't gonna make no God out of me. I ain't not responsible for not one person on this planet. You ain't gonna make no preacher out of me. You ain't gonna make no pastor out of me. You ain't gonna make no bishop, no apostle, no Kohen, no Moray. You can call me elder, but you ain't gonna make me nothing other than who I am. You're not gonna put me on no pedestal and make me lose the freedom to be the sinful man that I am, wrapped up in this Adamic nature that has the capacity to fall short sometime. You ain't gonna make me anything other than that. And because ain't nobody gonna make me that, we'll have conversations like this. We'll have conversations like this that dare anybody to talk about. Not that I ain't saying that dare nobody to talk about. Some people do talk about conversations like this, but it's what it is. You know, we need more love. Because it's one thing to give us common ground. Now, I'm telling you, I remember one time I was in church and was doing a Sunday school lesson, and then I was telling people, as we start talking about being on one accord, okay? And so I said, you know what? I'll show you how to be on one accord. It's only one way to get on one accord. And I said, so everybody in here that wants to be on one accord, raise your hand. And so everybody in there raised their hand. But some people didn't raise their hand. Some people knew me. He said, nah, I better not raise my hand because I don't know which direction this dude gonna go in. So they raised their hand. So I said, okay, everybody in here that's got a wig on, pull it off. I said, everybody that got false teeth in their mouth, take them out. Yep. I said, everybody that's being lying, tell the truth. Everybody in here that got a hole in your sock, take your shoe off. If you got bad corns on your feet, Take your socks off. You see? Everybody that's on prescription medication, pull your pills out your pocket or your purse. Do you think anybody moved? Nope, they didn't move. You know why? Because they don't desire to be on one accord in their heart. They want to be one over the other. So they can't expose their weakness. And when everybody is like that, what you have is a whole world of blooming idiots pretending to be something that they are not, because they cannot expose their weaknesses one to another. But you would have had one accord, because the person that could have took their wig off would have been seeing right there with the person that didn't have no teeth in their mouth. They wouldn't have been paying attention to each other. They would have been so preoccupied with their own shame that the only person they would have been able to look at was God, and God would bring all of them into common ground through their weakness and through their shame. Nobody wants to do that. We talk about Yahuwah, we talk about Yeshua, we talk about Jesus, we talk about Allah, we talk about all these different things. Don't nobody want one accord. You want to be one over the other. The one over the other make you, I'm a little bit better some kind of way than my brother is. The prayer of the sinner and the publican. You know, the sinner simply pray, God have mercy upon me. I am a sinful man. The publican prayer, oh God, thank you for not making me like this sinner. One above the other. So it's what it is. See, this stuff ain't limited. See, and it's easy. It's easy. I watch it all the time. It's easy to take a disenfranchised people and make them the subject. It's easy to take a disenfranchised people or people that's in a bad place in their life. It's easy to take them and build a sermon. Whether it's a judgmental sermon or whatever, it's a sermon to try to make yourself look good. Oh, it's easy to take that. Oh, God, bless the prostitute that's out there on the street. Bless the prostitute that's out there on the street. When you don't understand, the prostitute is out there on the street because the man that left her with all these kids ain't took care of his responsibility. She ain't got no money, can't do nothing, so she ain't got no choice but to go out there and prostitute herself. And she can't come to the one that's asking God to bless. Oh, God, bless the prostitute. But the prostitute can't come to you. Why don't you go bless the prostitute? It's time out for brothers and sisters to keep on asking God to do stuff that he told you to do. God the one told you to do that. Oh, God, have mercy upon the dope head that's out there. Oh, God, look in on the alcoholic. Oh, God, look in and smile on the sick and shut in. Why God got to do things that he asked us to do? You go and see about the sick and shut in. You have mercy on the drunk. You have mercy. You be a blessing to the dope head. Why the Most High got to do things that he told us to do? I don't know. This stuff ain't gonna go away, because as long as we living in this world and it can be seen for what it really is, down there cleaning up the park, and my big bro Chad Stevenson, he's selling a preacher rolling down the street who it came. What a nice event it was, and how successful it was. You know what I'm saying? And so they talking, and he's enjoying how much of a good time that he had, and this and that, the other. And then the preacher calls, and he calls us, well, you know, yeah, we had a good time down here, but 5 people still got shot. So my big bro, he screams out, he said, yeah, man, that just shows we need to get out here and put our boots on these streets. Oh, okay, all right, I got to go to church now. I got to go to church. I say, you see how it is? When you start talking about getting some productive work done in the community, oh, you ain't got time for that. Oh, let me get down to the church. Because, see, down there at the church, you ain't got nothing to do. You ain't got nothing to do. You're about to deal with a set of people that you see on a regular basis. You're about to deal with a set of people you see on a regular basis every day. You see these people. You ain't got no children. You ain't got nothing to fight. You ain't got nothing to do. You got some words to preach. Some words to preach. But you're going to leave there, and then you're going to go home. You're not going to put forth no work in your community. Now, I got one of my brothers. I'm telling you, I mention him all the time. But I thank the Most High. I got one of my brothers that's down in Excelsior Spring, Missouri. Pastor church called Main Street Baptist Church. His name James Wesley. Now, I'm telling you, you see, he never is included. When I start dealing with a lot of these brothers, there were some brothers, and he ain't just the only one, but there are some brothers that's automatically not included, not meant. You know what? Because they put in work. We ain't talking about people that's putting in work. We're talking about people that ain't putting in no work. And we're talking about some of the things that the people that don't put in work have a habit of doing. It's not the people that's putting in work that's walking around here with an arrogant attitude, because you can't put in God's work when you arrogant. You can't put in God's work if you pride. If you prideful, we're talking about them brothers that, the brothers that ain't putting in work. Them the brothers running around here talking about everybody. They talking about everybody. And it don't make no difference what arena you in. They talking about everybody. They talking about the dope head. They talking about the alcoholic. They talking about the prostitute. They talking about everything that's wrong in this world. They talking about the white man. They talking about the Israelite. They talking about the Christian. Talking about the Jehovah's Witness. They talking about everybody. But they ain't putting no work in. Because that's the evidence. When you get busy and start putting in work, so don't mind me. I was just talking to myself. I hope somebody got something good out of this conversation that I was having with myself, and mainly for my brothers. Listen, man. Stop selling that dope, man. Take the money that you'd have made, buy you some tools. Buy you some tools. Maybe buy you a truck. Maybe buy you a truck. Buy you some tools and find you something to do. Something to do, man. Because if you don't, we're going to mourn you. And if you don't, you're going to mourn your brother. You see? If you don't find you something to do, we're going to mourn you. And if you don't find something to do, you're going to mourn your brother. Not only is God going to destroy you, He's going to destroy you because you're destroying your brother. So it ain't no in-between ground to stand on. You got to find something to do, man. You got to find something to do. You can't just keep on selling people dope. Even when people want it, you can't be the one to sell it. It may always be dope dealers, but that don't mean you got to be one of them. There always going to be people that's on drugs. I can attest for that. Always going to be people that's on drugs. Now, always going to be people that sell drugs, but you don't have to be the one doing it. Your brother's blood ain't got to be on your head. No. And the person that's on drugs, you don't know how you're going to get off. If you ain't on heroin, you can get off. Because there have been people that's on heroin that have gotten off of heroin. Ray Charles got off of heroin. But if you are not on heroin, you can get off. And we on crack, we can get off of that. Because God wake us up the next morning in our sober consciousness, right state of mind. Our battle with that is just the thought. Casting down the imagination. That's where the fight is. Some days you're victorious. Some days you're not. But you fight. I got them for this last week. Boy, but last week, they beat me to death. They beat me to death. But I'm jumping back up, and I'm going to be relentless in my pursuit. I'm conquering it. You devils, y'all might have been on me. I'm dragging you devils everywhere that I go. I'm dragging you everywhere. Everywhere that I go, you best believe I got a number of devils right there with me the whole time. I'm dragging them to death. Hey, you might be beat me up, but I'm dragging your butt with me wherever I go. Because you're not dragging me in a hole anymore. There is a difference between being drugged and dragging something. So if you there, you can get off. And it's going to start with you being able to look yourself in the face and say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at. So, slow.